Hey everyone, I'm gonna make a pretty simple tutorial today going over the groove edit functions, help you make basically help you make a beat. And I doubt it will be pretty, but we'll just go with it and you can work your way through it as well. So there's two buttons, one's the step accent and one is the function button. Now what we're dealing with when you press groove edit is basically you're working with these 11 buttons down here. If you look underneath the encoders, it'll tell you kick, snare, closed hi-hat, open hi-hat, clap, high, mid, and low tom, and then the three percussion parts. And when you click an encoder above that, you'll see that it actually says snare. If I push the encoder above snare, closed hi-hat, that's basically how it's mapped. Of course, you can load a sample that is a hi-hat in the kick, just probably not a good idea for you to do that. So we can go over the LCD screen as well. It tells you which page you're on and what part it is, the kick part. And here is the velocity, so you can set a velocity with your part. And then the accent button or function, which I don't understand and I don't think anyone else does, but if they do, they're welcome to make a tutorial on it. And then we have page 2 of 2, which is telling you the resolution of each of the steps, the length, which 8 of 8, so that's 16 16th notes here, the number of bars, and then the pitch that you'll have your notes. Now in the groove edit, all you can do is have one have the pitch. You can only have one pitch value or one tone per part. Now there are ways around that, the easiest being to create a sequencer line that will play that part, and then you can get different tones. I can show you that too, actually. And then the function, which is going to be how to get a swing in your song. We'll go into that in a minute once we make a song. So it's basically your groove. Okay, so first let's press the step accent and press the encoder for the kick. Now what I do is then press the oscillator wave button, which is up here, or the encoder. And then you go and you can twist the knobs. You can go into different different areas if you want hip hop, big beat, or anything. Typically, just pick a sound. Pretty simple. And then I have my keyboard and I can see if I like that note. I usually turn up the levels here, the VCA level. And another way to make sure you have volume going through the sum outs is push the volume in the mixing desk and then click on the part, so the kick, and you can turn up the volume that way. Mine are also going through the drums part, so you can turn that down. Doesn't matter though for this. And then all you need to do is push down one of the notes where you, or push down on the 16 steps where you want that note to play. And I'll just do a simple 4/4. And there's that. So now let's go to snare and do the same thing. You click the encoder above snare, oscillator wave, and let's just pick a 909 snare. Kind of quiet, so I'll do turn up the VCA level, go to volume, and then press down the encoder above snare, and I'll also turn down the drums part because otherwise we get some phasing. Okay, now for this you can push play and have the song play, and then put the note where you want it to hit. If you hit you can actually change the tuning of the note with the oscillator detune. Now also you can change for that part that you're on the envelope generator, so you could turn the decay way down and then the release off, so you can't even hear it. Change the decay now, and just your envelope generator for that particular part. But let's Okay, leave it at that. And then let's go to making a closed hi-hat, and we'll go through this a little faster. And I think that's an 808 closed hi-hat, and we can just put those on eighth notes. Now let's change the resolution here. So you're still in the groove edit, and now we're on page 2. So we'll change the resolution to 32nd notes. And so what you can see is that when you change that, you're modifying the 16 steps. So this now will become 2 parts of, so 2 sets of 16 when you change to 30 seconds. And so now we have a higher resolution, so we can put more notes in there. And to get to that second set, we have to change this shuffle, tempo and shuffle, and you'll see that we're on 1 of 1, and now we're on the second 17, so 17 through 32. And that's how you can change the resolution and the point at which you're at in the groove edit. So now this will be one of the more interesting things, or something that I learned recently. Let's get a closed or an open hi-hat sound. And let's just choose a sound. I'm going to have the 808 open, so just sounds like that, kind of standard. Okay, so let's put that in. Now we'll need to shuffle back to the beginning. It sort of had a glitch there, but where it was kind of going beyond that. Now something you'll notice is that it plays through the whole time, but let's say we wanted it to shut because of having a closed hi-hat somewhere. Well, this is where the velocity becomes important. So let's now have a velocity of 0 and put it right next to your note. And we'll do that for all of the open hi-hat parts. Well, what you'll hear is that you'll still hear a note. You'll still hear the envelope for that note beyond where you hit it. One way to actually cut off the sound is now what you do in this part is go to VCA level and hit the encoder. And go to page 2 of 2, this is the volume modulators, and put the velocity up to 127. Now this will mean that as the velocity increases or decreases, it will help change the volume of the note you're playing. So what you do, we already changed the velocity down to 0, so now the note after the note that you want to sound, you turn the velocity down to 0, and it should cut off the preceding note. So let me remove those, and you'll hear what it sounds like. Now add them again. Okay, fairly straightforward. Now 2 more things I'll show you here. One is we'll go into actually kind of adding a little bit of variation to the sound, which is kind of neat. What you can do is change the length of each part. So your kick you can have to be 7/8 length, and this will add some kind of cool dynamics to your drums. So what we'll do is end up just modifying this length feature here, and we'll do that for all of them. You can get some kind of random and unique sounds, so we'll just play and see what it sounds like. So press the encoder above the kick and change the length to 7/8, and you'll see that it goes back to the beginning after 14, so 7/8 of the total measure. And for the snare, put that to 9/8. For the closed hi-hat, bring that down to 5/8. And for the open hi-hat, we'll bring that up to 9/8. So that's the basics there. Now, if you want to add some swing to your song, you'll push the function button, and you've got a resolution, and then kind of the amount of change that you're going to have with that. So honestly, I'm not sure I could explain what the two parts mean, but you can just mess around with it. But one thing you're going to want to make sure is that you actually, in the function, when you press the function button, press the parts that you want to have a swing on it. So I'll do kick, snare, my closed and open hi-hats. I'll do it to both. So we'll set this to 0 because this is really your modifier, the third encoder. So we'll turn that up. And now there's some swing to it. You can kind of make it have as much swing as you want. But it's very important that you make sure that in the function, when you press the function button, to make sure that you highlight the parts that you want to have swing. I mentioned in a previous tutorial about being in the sequence editor and getting the swing to work on that. And I can quickly show you that. If we go into function under the sequence edit, and then you'll go to any part really, any sequencer line, and make sure you go to page 8 of 8, you'll see that there's a groove. And you'll want to turn that on. And then when you have a sequencer line, you'll have the groove on that sequencer line as well. One thing I did mention at the beginning of this is that I can help you get a tonal drum part sequenced as well. So let's create a new sequencer line, and we'll go to Target, and what you do is go to D-Synth, Play, and D note, and let's make it a snare. Okay? And I'll go back to Function, and now you can actually sequence. You can't change the note on your keyboard. It'll continue to play the same note. So what you'd have to do is change the pitch on each step, and it shows you once you put in the note. And we also need to change the length of all these. So how we'll do that is press the encoder. We'll set the length to 4. And that's basically the groove editor and how to get tonal parts with the drums if you want them. And thank you for watching.